All right. What do you think of that one?
I love that song. I always have. I, I was sitting here thinking to myself, it's so hard to analyze your songs because it's like they have been part of my life my whole life. And so it's like you're asking me to explain how I breathe. I mean, it's just what they do. It's how I listen, how I take them in, and it's a happy tune, it makes me feel good, that's for darn sure. And I have a very explicit memory of that being um, on a jet ski going across the water into the sun in Mexico, and I was full bore and just going in the sun, and I was singing this song at the top of my lungs, and but because melodically, I mean, I'm hit a lot by melody, so I mean, this song just had a lot of melody that I can remember every bit of it and just sing along to it because it becomes part of me, and that's probably all I have to say about it at this point.
And you can even sing along to the instrumental hook.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's they multi-layered their hooks in such a way that you remembered not only the ones that were sung, but the ones that were played. And it's a common recurrence in their entire catalog is that there was always some instrumental hook that took you from one place to the next.
Hmm.
I'm listening to it and I take my hat off to them. It's like there there isn't a wasted second in that recording. There's always
Forward.
moving the song forward. If it isn't melodic, if it isn't instrumental, if it isn't part of the melody, if it isn't, uh, and and then the other thing is there is a chord progression in there when that section
Hmm.
is if you know music, and if you don't worry about it. Okay, usually chords move around the cycle of fifths, and there is a very conventional. It's like they go counterclockwise, and that's how most chord progressions go. But this goes backwards. It goes circle of fourths. It goes like from C to A flat to E flat to B flat to F to C. They never did that. Western music never did that until the very first song that ever did that was a song called Hey Joe. Um, I forget the name. Was it Love? A group called Love, I think. Anyway, they did that chord progression, and that was radical. I'd never heard that. It has a little bit of almost like a Renaissance sound. It has a little bit like the modality that you'd hear in some Renaissance music, some of those old Catholic masses, sometimes even in some of the old Irish folk songs, which had some of that modal quality. And it was used a lot when we get to the Who. Uh, they used chord progressions like that in their rock opera Tommy. Um, it was, and of course, Hey Joe was recorded covered by Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah. I mean, he
And
didn't write it, but yeah, he definitely, his became the definitive version. It was a folk singer, Billy something or other. I can't remember his last name. Um, who is is the purported author, but I remember there being some question as to where it originally came from.
but there was to me the 60s was a very exciting era because they were pushing the envelope. And later on, when we get to the Beach Boys, you know that the Beatles and the Beach Boys had a real competition. Are you aware of that?
Hmm. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They purposely
Yeah.
and actually consulted with each other to, well, I'll see your innovation and I'm going to do one even more. Excuse me, my hat keeps falling.
Yeah.
So, uh, but it was it was a time they were trying to do first. The Beatles were very much into that, doing something that had never been done, pushing the envelope. And it made it a very exciting age.
And it was a time of great upheaval too. You're talking
Yes,
about the civil rights movement,
yes.
Vietnam War, protests, um, people questioning existence in general, and what was right, what was wrong. And so whenever you have that, that's when your innovations happen. That's when folk music rises, is when there are troubles, which is why we have so much folk music happening now. But it's it's those times of upheaval that it's kind of like the lava coming up and pushing through and making a new mountain.
That's a beautiful image. I'll be right back because before I got on today, I was ran into a 60s. I get these 60s um, notifications since I'm researching, and someone did a list of the top protest songs of the 60s. And let me read the titles to you. Take me 2 seconds to fetch.
Hmm.
I probably sang all of them in one coffee house or another, or as we were protesting.
Hmm.
Okay. He had a list of 12. I don't think I copied it. There was Blowing in the Wind. When he said a lot of these were too, they wouldn't play them on the radio. They were too controversial. And they had so many people protesting the protest songs. And of course, what are we going through now? We're going protests and protesting on both sides. It's a very divided time. And it was divided then. Blowing in the Wind, Eva Destruction. Was that
Yep.
Barry Wire? Buffalo Springfield for What It's Worth. Um, Jefferson Airplane, White Rabbit. Um, the Stones, Street Fighting Man. Beatles, Talk About Revolution. Well, okay. Um, and
Well,
Creedence Clearwater, Fortunate Son. So those are just some of what was going on.
One of the other ones that was a very
hey,
important one,
what?
he was
She wrote me a word, the letter B back, and I wrote back like question, question, question. What does that mean? B. So I don't know. Oops. A B?
Yeah, go ahead, Gail.
one of the songs that did that was a backbone of things, but did not get a lot of airplay, and at first was one by Malvina Reynolds. She's the one who wrote Little Boxes on the Hillside. Well, this one was called It Isn't Nice. It isn't nice to block the hallways, as is how it starts. And it basically was saying all these things that weren't nice, but since nobody was listening to reason, nobody was listening to what was morally and ethically right to do. This was something that was a necessary thing. And it was considered exceptionally controversial because it was confrontational. And eventually did get covered by some major artists and such, and kind of sneaked in there, and became something that the people who were protesting, taking over different buildings and such, and sitting there and chaining themselves together in protest, um, were using. And of course, the "We Shall Overcome" anthem is carried over from the civil rights movement in the early '60s, and it was still going strong as we were marching down the street, protesting the Vietnam War. So these things, when you've got people who are being honest and fighting injustice, things change. Things can change. And, revolution was and is not out of the realm of possibility.
Well, again, the Beatles that they did two versions of their song Revolution. They had a slow one and a fast one. And it's like you couldn't escape the politics of the age. It was in the air.
Exactly.
And we're in a
As
political age right now. That's for sure. Okay, I guess uh any final things before we wrap it up? I'm going to stop the recording and then I have one thing I wanted to discuss with you guys off the mic. So, was there any other comments? We're going to start the Rolling Stones next week. We'll finally get to the rest. Oh,
Okay.
that was the other thing on that list. I Can't Get No Satisfaction by the Stones.
yep.
Oh, yeah.
I love that song.
Yeah.
And I always thought it was a good song until I listened to it, and it's masterful.
Yep.
Like I had no idea what craft went into it and why it was so good. So we'll take a look at that.
I hadn't really, taken, a real hard look at the song until I was singing backup for a gal named Tori Tyson. And she's very balls to the wall. What would have happened if, Mick Jagger and who knows, Deborah Harry had Love Child, and she used to do the song. And when I was really listening to how she was doing it, it was so different. But it actually made me really listen to the lyrics, and I went, "This is a hell of a good song." I never paid attention to how good a song it was.
And that's one thing I'm finding in this whole catalog of 60 songs. I'm in awe of the brilliance of some of them were schooled, most of them were unschooled, but studied in an unconventional way.